Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning,
Morning, sir.
good morning. Fine, we will start our class. Currently, we have approx 35, 33. Fine. Last class, we will start discussing on what are the different types of debenture. In that, debenture can be broadly divided on different category. I already told you this list is not exhaustive. These are the specific type of debenture that is available in Indian market. But
Morning, sir.
good morning, good morning. Please don't unmute yourself.
എന്താ ആ ഒരു കുറെ സജഷൻസ് തരുന്നുണ്ട് അത് അവര് കോഴ്സസ് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നല്ലേ.
Now, we were discussing on types of debenture. First, on a basis of security, debentures can be secured and unsecured. I already told you that debenture, if any debenture which is backed by any fixed asset, will be known as a secured debenture, while any debenture which is not backed by any fixed asset will be considered as unsecured debenture. Although unsecured debenture do have a security in a form of bank guarantee or payment guarantee, but in general term, any debenture which is secured by fixed asset of a company, that fixed asset may be building, that fixed asset may be inventory, that fixed asset may be a bills receivable, bills payable, anything. But it should be backed by always a asset of a company. It will be known as a secured type of debenture. But if it's not secured by any asset, it will consider as an unsecured debenture. The second category, which is given on a blue, is on a basis of transfer. See, the term transfer says that if the holder or a buyer of debenture have a right to transfer their instrument to someone else without getting a permission from the company. Like if a company X have issued a debenture and I purchase that debenture, does as a holder I have a right to transfer it to someone else without getting a permission of a company? Because general what happens in equity is freely traded. When I'm making, let's assume I buy a equity of a Reliance Industry and I want to sell it to someone, let's assume Ankit. So I does not want a permission from Mukesh Ambani to sell it to Ankit. So that is a free transferable instrument. So that is called transfer of an instrument. On a same concept is applicable for a debenture. There are certain debentures where company does not involve, company does not have any share on a transfer of the instrument. The person who hold it can easily sell to anyone else without informing the company. If that is the case, it will cause a bearer type of debenture instrument where company does not have any involvement in selling. But if the holder required a permission from company to sell it to someone else, it is called registered type of debenture, where the registered will be maintained by the company every time. If let's assume Reliance had issued a registered type of debenture, it means if I purchase it at a start and now I want to sell it to Ankit, I do require permission from the board of director or board of governance or registrar of the Reliance to sell it to Ankit. I cannot sell without getting a written permission from the concerned company, because company is maintaining a register for their debenture holder. That's why it's called registered debenture. So on a basis of transfer, it can be freely transferred or it can be registered. If it's a freely transfer, the person who bear it, the person who hold it, have a right to sell without getting any permission from the company. So it is mainly two types: the registered debenture and Bearer debenture. Most of the debenture which is selling in Indian market stock exchanges are bearer in nature, which does not require any permission from any company to sell it to someone else. But there are registered debenture. There are so many examples of registered debenture in Indian market. Next, on a basis of repayment, the term repayment clearly indicate the company is ready to buy back. Like if I made an investment in debenture of company X, that is I'm paying to the company. If company is ready to pay me back, that is called repayment. If any debenture have a clause of repayment, the company is ready to buy that their instrument back after a certain period. It's called redeemable, which can be redeemed by the company. But if company does not have that clause, it's called irredeemable. Generally, debenture are sold with a clause of redeemable. And in 90% or 99% debenture which is currently selling in Indian market have a clause of repayment. Company will buy back after a certain time period. So it's a redeemable type of debenture where company will buy back the instrument of a certain time period. Irredeemable type of debenture where company will never buy back the instrument. The holder is free to sell to someone else when they have a need of a money. So that is called redeemable and irredeemable type of debenture. Next, on a basis of conversion. Conversion means when one form of financial instrument can be converted into another form of financial instrument. Debenture is converted into preference share. Debenture is converted into ordinary equity share. Debenture or low yield debenture converted into high yield debenture, yani 7% debenture converted into 9% debenture. All are an example of convertible instrument. So on a basis of conversion, if conversion is allowed in that debenture, the debenture may be convertible and non-convertible. As per name suggests, convertible debenture are those debenture which may convert into something else, some new form of financial instrument after a pre-decided period. My debenture may convert into ordinary share, my debenture may convert into preference share, or my low grade, low yield debenture may convert into higher debenture. If that clause is there, it's called convertible debenture. If that clause is not mentioned in debenture, it's called non-convertible debenture. It means if I invested in debenture, it will expire like a debenture. It become a non-convertible debenture. The last criteria is on a basis of priority of a claim or on a basis of a claim. The claim means at the time of settlement, who will get preference from a company side? Like if company have issued a debenture, let's assume company X have issued multiple debenture in a market and all are secured in nature. Secure means it's backed by company fixed asset. So which debenture holder have a first right on that property? On a basis of that claim, debenture may be divided into two categories. One is called first charge debenture, other is called second charge debenture. First charge debenture where the holder have a first claim on that fixed asset. In case of default, in case of winding of company, in case of closing down a business, the first charge debenture holder will get a preference over that property. If company is not able to pay the money back to the debenture holder, the first charge holder, the debenture holder with the first charge have a right to sell the property, and they'll get a settlement first before the second charge. So that is called priority on a claim. Who will get a first settlement at a time of liquidity? So these are the major type of debenture, which is divided on a basis of 5 category. Anyone have a problem? So then we'll enter into bond. Fine. The next type of borrowed instrument is a bond. I already told you bond is very much similar to this debenture with a little bit difference. Like generally in India, bond is also very much similar to the debenture, which is a debt investment, where an investor loan money to an entity. But this entity is typically, because in India, bond only a government agency or PSU, any public service unit, financial institution, or any big corporate house whose turnover is more than 1,000 crores is allowed to issue a bond in a market. So bond is very much similar to the debenture, but the criteria is here only these entity, which is either government, directly government, like a GSEC bond issued by RBI, any government agency like IDBI Bank, SBI, any PSU, public service unit, the company which is owned by government like IOCL, HP, so they can issue it. Any financial institution, all type of bank and NBFC is allowed to issue a bond, or any private entity whose turnover of 1,000 crore, they can issue bond in a market. Fine, because bond is always secured in nature. That's why they are the only entity who are supposed to issue a bond in a market. Fine. Here, when we are talking about the definition, it's very much clear. It's a debt instrument where there are two entities. There must be a two entity where one person is ready to pay a money to another person, and another person will pay back the interest in a form of coupon or in form of repayment of a principal. So bond is very much similar to the debenture where a person will invest money in another company, and that investment will be always considered as a debt investment, which will consider as a borrowed capital for a company, and the entity who is accepting a deposit have a obligation to pay you back as an interest as well as repayment of a principal in a form of maturity value. So here the interest rate will always known as a coupon rate. The key term in a bond is a coupon rate. Coupon rate is the interest rate payment. It may be semi-annual, it may be quarterly, it may be monthly, or it may be annual payment. But coupon rate is nothing, it's an interest payment. Like if I'm telling you, my bond have a coupon rate of 10% and face value of 1,000. It means every year bond is supposed to pay you 100 rupees. This 100 rupees may be paid in installment. If your bond is paying semi-annually, it means on every 6 months, bond will give you 50 rupees. If your bond is paying monthly, that 100 rupees will be divided into 12 equal installment. So coupon rate will be fixed, but payment frequency depend on a bond. Generally in Indian market, bonds pay a semi-annual basis. Every 6 months you'll get an interest from a bond, and that interest will be known as a coupon rate. At the end of a bond period, at the end of the maturity, either bond will return back to your principal. Like if you have invested, the face value of bond is 1,000, you will get back your 1,000 at the end of a bond. Or bond may redeem on a premium. Like 1,000 bond can promise you to give a 1,020 rupees at a maturity. So the major difference between debenture generally never mature on a premium on a discount, but bond can mature on a premium on a discount. Like if IDBI bond 9% coupon bond is selling in a market with a maturity of 15 years, which promise to return back to 150% at the end of 15 years. Here, bond 100 rupees bond will give you 150 after 15 years. So bond can easily mature on a premium, or it can be mature on a discount as well. So there are the two major points in a bond. Bond will pay you an interest. That interest will be known as a coupon rate. And at a fixed period of time, bond will return back your capital, or the bond will give you a maturity value, which is a pre-decided date. This maturity value may be more than your principal or equivalent to your principal. So bond can be easily redeemed on a discount or a premium. That's a major difference between a bond and debenture. So when we are calculating a return on a bond, the return will be calculated as, because bond return have a three part. One, the coupon what we are receiving. The second, the maturity value. And third, the difference in the price of a bond. Difference in the price of a bond. That is a difference in the price of a bond. Difference in the price. It means if a bond with 100 rupees, coupon rate 7%, selling at price of 80 and mature at a price of 120. My return will be 7% plus bond is maturing at 120, but bond price was 100. It means 20 rupees on a maturity and bond was selling on a discount. 100 rupees bond was selling on a 80 rupees. So 20 rupees at a time of buying it. So my total return will be 7 rupees, 7% plus 20 plus 20. And my return will be 47% into this investment. So when we are calculating a return on a bond, we are concerned about all these three things: coupon, maturity, and difference of a price. While this was a not case in a debenture. In debenture, we are only concerned about the two parameters. But here we are concerned about all these three parameters: the coupon, maturity, and differences. Any confusion? Fine. Now we'll enter into what are the major features of a bond. The feature of bond is very much similar to the debenture, what we have discussed earlier. All these features is pertaining to the bond, but little bit difference. That difference I'll explain you. Debenture is considered as a promise, not as a contract, while bond is considered as a contract. Bond is always a contract between two parties, while debenture is considered as a promise where one party is ready to give a promise to another party to pay back. But here bond will consider as a contract between two parties where one party is making investment into another entity and other entity will be pay back a coupon and a pre-decided maturity value at a fixed maturity time. So bond is a contract while debenture is a promise. Nature of finance, bond nature of finance is always considered as a debt investment. It will written on a liability side of a balance sheet of a company, and for an investor, for a holder, it will consider as an asset and it will written as a asset side of a balance sheet of an investor. It means if Mr. X is investing in a bond of Y Limited, Y Limited will consider this investment as a liability. So the nature of finance for Y Limited is become liability, while Mr. X will consider this as an asset. So for Mr. X, it's become asset. So nature of finance of bond will change according to the party. The person who is getting money from another entity or the entity which is getting money from another person, he will treat this as a liability. So nature of finance become liability. And the person who is making investment into any bond, for them it's become a asset in nature. So nature of finance will change according to the entity to entity, party to party. Fine. A status of investor. When we are talking about the status of investor, the bond will always give a status of investor in a secured category of debt. If any person making investment in a bond of any entity or a company, automatically he will placed as a secured debt investor, because bond is always secured in nature. So The status of investor will be always considered as a secure debt investor in a bond. The return on a bond, I already explained you, the bond will give a return into a three format. Number one, the coupon. Number two, the price differential at a time of buying it. And number third, the difference in a maturity value of a bond. Like if we have a 7% 100 rupees bond, which will mature, maturity value is 120, and current market price is rupees 80. In this example, the bond, we have a bond, 1 year bond. For make it very simple, we are taking a time of 1 year. So we have one example where we have a 7% coupon bond with a face value of 100, maturity value of 120, currently selling at a price of 80, which is a discounted value, and my time frame is 1 year. My return will be calculated as the interest what I have received from bond, which is calculated on a face value, that is 7% of 100 rupees 7, plus change in the maturity value. Change in the maturity value, I am getting 120 instead of 100. So my return is 120 minus 100. So my maturity value will consider as 120 minus 100. That's a return from my maturity. Now come on a market price. The face value of my bond is 100, but I'm getting that bond in just rupees 80. That is a discounted price. The simple, to understand it very in simple term, a commodity which should which have a MRP of rupees 100 selling at a price of 80. Bond, the MRP is 100 selling at 80. I'm getting a benefit of 20 rupees because rather than buying this commodity at 100, I'm just buying at rupees 80. That become a benefit of 20 rupees for a buyer. So here, if bond is selling on a discount, it's a return for an investor. It's a return for a bond holder. So I'm getting a return of 100 minus 80. So my total return becomes 7 plus 20 plus 20. That is rupees 47. So when we are talking about the return on a bond, is a very complex thing. Very complex thing. The bond return is always a complex, more complex than a calculation of equity. Because in equity, we are only concerned about the two parameters. Number one, the dividend received and change in a price. Like if I'm try to calculate a return from an equity, return from an ordinary share, I'm only concerned about the two things. Let's assume I purchase a share of company X at a price of 100, which pay me a dividend of rupees 5. And after 1 year, I sold that equity share at a price of 150. My simple return will be dividend plus change in a price. That is, dividend is rupees 7 plus change in a price 150 minus 100. Equity calculation is always easier in comparison to calculation of a bond. Because when we are calculating a bond or return on a bond, we are concerned about multiple factors. What is the coupon rate? What would be the maturity value? What is the current market price? All these factors will be considered while calculating a return on a bond, while return on ordinary share, return on a preference share will be only calculated on a two parameters, the dividend paid plus change in a price. Selling price minus purchasing price plus dividend. That is a return from share investment. That is return from a investment into equity shares. But when we are talking about calculation of return on a bond, please be cautious because there are multiple parameters when we are calculating a return on a bond. We are concerned about the coupon rate, that's the interest rate. We are concerned about the change in the maturity value. We are also concerned about the current market price. If rather than 80 rupees, if my instrument is selling on 120, then this is a loss for me because I am buying a commodity on a higher price. So this return become just 7. So in bond, we have always concern, we should think about a 3 parameter while making a calculation: the interest paid, the difference in maturity value, and the current market price. So return on bond is very complex thing in comparison to other calculation. So that is the one of the most important feature of a bond. Any confusion? If anyone have a confusion, you can unmute yourself and discuss the thing. Fine. The next clause, next feature of bond is repayment. Except perpetual bond, which is not allowed in India. Every bond have a repayment clause. Every bond have a repayment clause. For Indian investor, every bond have a repayment clause because government have not allowed any perpetual bond till now. So every bond which is issued in Indian market will be mature at a certain period. So if it's maturing on a certain period, definitely the entity will pay you back. So every bond have a repayment clause. Fine. Next feature is security of a bond. There are two type of security which is available in a bond in Indian market. One is called secured by government, other is called secured by fixed asset. So either bond will be secured by fixed asset or bond will be secured by government of India. If bond is secured by government of India, it's called GSEC bond. It's called GSEC bond, and no individual investor can make an investment in GSEC bond. As an individual investor like Santosh Kumar is not eligible to make investment in GSEC bond directly. I cannot buy GSEC bond. Only financial institutions, bank, mutual fund house, NBFC company are allowed to participate in GSEC trading. They are the only entity who can buy and sell GSEC bond in India. Individual investor cannot participate in trading of GSEC bond directly. If you want to buy a GSEC bond or you want to take exposure of GSEC bond, you do invest in form of mutual fund. You do invest in a form of shareholding of a bank, but none of the individual investors are supposed to make a direct investment in GSEC bond in India. So bond will be always guaranteed. Either this guarantee is given by government, promise from a government of India, or it's secured by asset, but it will be always secured. Next, tax benefit. There are certain special type of bond which provide you a tax benefit. If you are making investment into such bond, you are making investment into such a special type of bond, your investment and return become a tax free with a certain limitation as per Income Tax Act in India. The best example is infrastructure bond. Infrastructure bond, if you are investing into infrastructure bond, your investment will be tax free and the return or interest which is received on an infrastructure bond will be also considered as a tax free in a hand of investor. So there are so many infrastructure bond which is available in a market. The recent one is National Highway Authority of India. NHAI have issued the infrastructure bond in the market. Even Railway have issued the infrastructure bond in the market. These infrastructure bond are a tax give you tax benefit to the holder. The person who are making an investment, their investment as well as return become a tax free, which facility is not available in case of debenture. So this is a very unique feature for a tax benefit, and this tax benefit will be decided by Government of India. This tax benefit may change according to the change in a situation, according to change in a market condition, change in a tax law, as announced by Finance Ministry. Now come on a party involved in a bond. Definitely the party involved is very much similar to the debenture holder. There will be three party involved into this. One, the corporation or entity who is issuing the bond. Other, who are making an investment. And third, very much similar to the debenture, there will be trustee, third party, who will secure the interest of an investor, who will secure the interest of a bond holder, because these companies are collecting money from a retail investor. So these trustee will take care of that. So this parties, the involvement of parties is very much similar to the debenture. Nothing changed into that. Any confusion? Fine. The next we'll enter into what are the major types of bond. See, like a debenture, bond can be also many, or it can be a list can be exhaustive. The list can be a very long. There are different type of bond available in a market. But here we'll discuss about what are the main major type of bond which is available in Indian market for trading. The first criteria on a basis of coupon, because coupon is something, or interest rate is something which is a main feature, the main focus of a bond. On a basis of coupon, it can be a fixed rate bond, it can be a floating rate bond, it can be a zero coupon bond, it can be a deep discount bond, it can be a special type of inflation indexed bond. See, when we are talking about the coupon rate, it means they are the interest rate which is pre-decided in a bond, and these are calculated on a basis of their face value. Like if in my previous example, we have a 7% bond with a face value of 100. Here we are getting a return of 7% every year on a face value. So if my bond have a fixed rate of return every year, my coupon rate is not depend on any another parameter. That is called fixed rate bond. I'll get 7% every year till the maturity of a bond. Name suggests the interest rate, the coupon is fixed. So it's called fixed rate bond. Nothing will change. Anything happen in a market, either interest rate is going up, interest rate is going down, but I'll get 7% in every situation. That is called fixed rate bond. The second one is floating rate bond. As name suggests, when coupon rate are changing, the coupon rate are floating in nature. The coupon rates are not fixed. They are changing according to the market situation. The coupon rate may vary from year to year. It may be possible this year I'm getting a coupon of 8%. Next year I will get a coupon of 10%. If that is the case, it's called floating rate bond, where coupon rate is changing according to certain criteria. This criteria may be anything. My coupon rate may be linked to the company performance. My coupon rate may link with the performance of Government of India. My coupon rate may link with the GDP. My coupon rate may link with the LIBOR. My coupon rate may link with the call money value, anything. But if my coupon rate is not fixed, which is changed from year to year, it will be considered as a floating rate bond. Fixed rate, where coupon rate is fixed, nothing will change. Floating rate, where my coupon rate will change year on year. This coupon rate may depend on a multiple factor. This coupon rate may depend on external factor like GDP, inflation, growth, BOP, LIBOR, MIBOR, call money rate. Anything can be a criteria. But my coupon rate is not fixed, it's called floating rate bond. The special type of bond, which is called zero coupon bond, as name suggests, a bond without coupon rate. Then why people will make an investment into that? And for that, we have to understand the return on a bond parameter. Here, I'm telling zero coupon bond where coupon rate becomes zero. So definitely this bond will sell on a discount. If coupon rate becomes zero, there are another parameter which will give a return to the investor. I'm not getting return from a coupon, but I'm getting a return in terms of change in maturity value or change in a market price. That's why I told you return is a very important criteria in bond calculation. Return depend on a three things: coupon rate, maturity value, and market value. In case of zero coupon bond, my coupon rate becomes zero, but still we can get a return by difference in maturity value and market price. Sorry. I still will get a return by difference in market price and maturity value. So coupon rate bond are a special type, zero coupon bond are a special type of bond where coupon rate will be zero. But these bond will always sold, always sell on a discount and mature on a premium. It means if a zero coupon bond of rupees 100, it will always sell on a discount, like instead of 100, it will sold on a rupees 70 and it will mature on a premium. It means my return is 100 minus 70, that is rupees 30 at a time of making investment, and I'm getting a certain return at a time of maturity. So these bond will not give you a regular return. These bond, the zero coupon bond will not going to give you an interest rate on a regular interval, but here you will get a return in a form of benefit at a time of making investment and a benefit at a time of maturity. So that is called zero coupon bond. No coupon rate is assigned to these bond. Fine. Any confusion? The special type of zero coupon bond is a deep discount bond, which is a special case of zero coupon bond. The name clearly indicates deep discount bond, the bond which is selling on a heavy discount, like 100 rupees bond is selling at a price of 10. 1 lakh bond at a selling at a price of rupees 10,000. So deep discount bond is a special case of zero coupon bond when bond are selling on a heavy discount, and generally deep discount bond are very long in maturity. India, we have a couple of example of deep discount bond, like Sardar Sarovar Narmada bond was a example of deep discount bond with a maturity of 25 years. So generally deep discount bond, when bond are selling on a heavy discount, number one. Number two, these bond is very long in maturity, generally 15 years or more than that. So here it will act like a fixed deposit. You have made an investment of rupees 100. After 30 years, you get a return of rupees 100, like 100 rupees bond selling at a discount of 10. For investor, I'm making an investment of just rupees 10, but at a time of maturity, I'll get 100 rupees as a return. So this deep discount bond is just acting like a fixed deposit, a long-term fixed deposit, where coupon rate is zero, selling on a very high discount price, highly discounted price, and very long in maturity. So the investor who are making investment into a deep discount bond, they are making investment just like a fixed deposit. Clear? The last type of bond in a category on a basis of coupon is an inflation index bond. Inflation index bond is very much similar to the floating rate bond, but since it's very popular in US and European market, that why it's mentioned separately over here. Inflation index bond, because the purpose of making investment in a bond to beat the inflation. Many investors who are making investment into a debt market, their major purpose, they want to earn more than the inflation. So if their purpose is to earn more than inflation, definitely their bond coupon should be linked with the inflation rate. So if any bond where coupon rate will change according to the change in the inflation, it will be called inflation indexed bond. Clear? It means there are special type of floating rate bond. There are special type of bond where coupon rate will decided by inflation. Generally, it's an inflation plus 2%. In general category, the bond which is available in a market, their coupon rate is inflation plus 2%. It means if current inflation rate is 4%, you get a return of 6%. If next after certain time, if inflation is changes to the 5%, my return will change to 5 plus 2, that is 7%. If inflation goes down, let's assume from 4% it reaches to 1%, my return will be 1 plus 2, that is 3%. So if coupon rate or interest rate on any bond is changing according to the inflation factor in a market, it will consider as an inflation indexed bond. Any confusion? Fine. The remaining type of bond we will discuss in the next class. Fine. Any confusion? We have approx 50 participants. Well, I got attendance of just 30. Everyone, please mark your attendance in the chat room. We are going to end this class. Please mark your attendance within 2 minutes.
Even all the little mishaps that might have happened, us stumbling over our words or whatever it was, I think that it was meant to be.
Fine, we'll end this class. Thank you.